Hello and welcome to yet another video, and in this video it is something very different than usual because in this video I'll be talking about buying gear and how it actually can help to motivate and to a certain extent help to improve your photography as well. I've been a photographer for quite a few years now, and no, in this video I'm not promoting gear acquisition syndrome, I promise, but it's just that over the years I did buy a lot of cameras quite evidently, and in this video I'll be sharing with you my process and also my experience and stories on how buying different gears, whether it's brand new or just secondhand gear, actually helped to motivate me and kept me improving my photography. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I've been a photographer for quite a few years now, and of course over the years there were creative blocks, there were also some unmotivated moments as well, there were just stuck in a rut kind of situations as well, and you know, I've learned to cope with different scenarios over the period of time, and of course it just kind of narrows down to just two factors on my side at least. The first one is in order to kind of solve those problems, I either have to travel somewhere, whether it's far away or just into another city, things like that, or the second option is just to acquire new gear, whether it's secondhand gear or just completely brand new gear like what I did a few years ago, or just, I don't know, a different format of cameras. So during my trip here in Japan, I did bring my, Sony gear, whether it's a Sony that's filming me right now or this another workhorse, a Nikon DSLR that I really love, my main workhorses for everything, which is the R5, the R, the R6. I even brought my trusty compact camera, the LX100. I don't know, I'm just naming a few cameras that are around me right now, which is kind of overkill for just traveling. But of course, here's my NX3 with the analog lens, like an old vintage 50mm Minolta with the Sony adapter. Here's my analog camera, the EOS 1, my absolute favorite analog camera that I have. GoPro, if that matters really, but anyway. All of these things aside, yes, I don't have problems, I promise. It's just that these things actually are the things that I do use quite often as well. But what I'm saying is, sometimes buying new gear, whether it's just old secondhand gear or completely brand new gear or just some sort of toy camera, can actually help to see different perspectives, if that makes sense. So sometimes when you're at a certain place for a while, new gear can actually help you to see your own neighborhood in a completely different way or different perspective. And that's pretty much what inspires me to make this video, because if you've noticed in the past couple of months, I made a lot of videos about analog cameras, and I made that because I was also kind of not only fascinated by the process of analog photography, but also it allowed me to see my neighborhood and also my city that I was living in, which was The Hague, in a completely different way. If you live in a certain city for a long time, especially The Hague is actually quite small, a city in the Netherlands that is, you start to see every angle the same way. You start to see every light the same way. Even if you miss a certain lighting condition, you can actually predict roughly which week you'll get that light again and just wait for it to happen, things like that. Everything just became so mundane, everything just became so normal, and it was just getting boring essentially. And it wasn't until when I got my hands on the Hogga panoramic camera, and that was when I started seeing the city in a much different kind of perspective and environment. Not only that, of course, it was an analog camera that I was able to just kind of feel the process of analog photography and on such a basic camera, but because I'm also a huge fan of wide aspect ratio photography, and of course, I admire people who can take pictures with square format or 4:3. Those are my worst and weakest aspect ratio to work with. Hence why I always come back to 3:2, because in my experience 3:2 is better than 4:3. I like the visual aspect of it, hence why I no longer use my GFX system as well, and I can never get used to square format. But I do appreciate those people who can take good pictures with those aspect ratio. Anyway, back to this particular story, and that's why I kind of went on different analog cameras that I talked about, and I still have more analog cameras videos to release. I just have to develop those films and also just to experiment with them a little bit longer in order to make those videos, but actually more are coming, and there are quite a few really interesting 35mm videos coming as well. But anyway, those cameras allowed me to actually feel the pace and feel more connected with the city again, and also allowed me to actually see the city from a different perspective, because the workflow is very different. And you know, it's also the same with these cameras, even though they are digital, but in the same time a DSLR has a certain process to it that allows me to see the city and also allows me to connect with the city differently than what my mirrorless cameras would otherwise allow me to. And also Sony, their workflow is very different from Canon, of course, and they have their own strengths and weaknesses differently from the strengths and weaknesses of my Canon, and it definitely allows me to see the city from a different point of view as well, especially with the lenses that I brought with me. So there is that thing, and that brings me to the point where, you know, it doesn't really matter regardless of which gear you have, as long as it helps you to reconnect with the subject that you're actually taking pictures of, or the location, or what have you, then it really serves its purpose in photography for you, because it allows you to actually capture more of that moment. It allows you to create more art. It allows you to capture more stories, and so on and so forth. So yeah, as long as if it's a gear that allows you to open your doors again and feel more motivated again to actually go out and shoot, I think that it's a good reason to acquire that gear. Obviously, I don't recommend buying gear that you cannot really afford, because I do recognize that photography gear can be very, very expensive, but you know, sometimes certain inspiration can actually comes from cheap gear, like the Holga panoramic camera that I got, or some film cameras that I actually talked about on my channel that only cost like less than 10 euros, and those cameras actually allowed me to enjoy photography and reconnect with certain subjects again. My favorite analog camera here, I got it for 17 euros. Another camera that I really love, and that is the Mamiya 645 1000S. I didn't bring it with me because it's also my most unreliable camera that I own. Hence why it's at home right now, but I usually use that a lot as well, and I usually bring that with me when I go to Thailand or go to Switzerland or go to Germany. Nothing in particular with those places where I tend to bring that camera, but it's also another camera that allows me to feel or see the environment from a different view because of the format, which is using the 120 film. Yeah, otherwise I hope that this video helped you somewhat. Again, I'm not promoting you know, gear acquisition syndrome. I'm just promoting how different types of gear can actually help you to be more motivated in photography, and hopefully my story that I actually shared with you guys also helps you to understand why I do have a lot of gear. I don't think I have a problem yet, but you know, as long as if it's helping me to actually create more content, create more creation, document more stories and moments, you know, it really serves its purpose. And not to mention that I do photography as my career as well. Like, I am an event photographer, I am a portrait photographer, I am a product photographer, things like that. So having other gear that acquires other new skill sets for me, or having gears that helps me to be more motivated in photography also helps my career as well. So yeah, there's that. I hope this video somewhat makes sense. Sorry to make this video out of the blue, because obviously I don't generally make videos at night and the lighting is a bit weird. So yeah, there's that. If you have any questions, anything to share, please feel free to just comment that down in the comment section below. If you have any stories to share as well, just comment that down in the comment section below as well. If you need a free photography guidebook, it's absolutely for free on my website. The link is down in the description section below, so as some of my photography video courses and some of the paid ones as well. Otherwise, I thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, have fun shooting. Till next time, bye for now.